Captain Bei Ji-hoon watched through his ship's window as the Council transport convoy moved slowly through space. The big cargo ships were carrying weapons and supplies to Council military bases. They had no idea that human warships were watching them from the shadows. His stealth destroyer Ghost Wind was completely invisible to Council sensors. The ship used technology that humans had learned from the Catherian traders, mixed with Earth engineering that made it even better. The Council had never seen anything like it. Remember what we are fighting for. Ji-hoon told his crew over the ship communication system. Every Council ship we destroy means fewer weapons pointed at innocent people. Every supply convoy we stop means their war machine gets weaker. The crew was ready. They had trained for this kind of mission for years, but now it was real. Now they were hunting the people who had murdered their friends on Valoran Prime. The anger in their hearts made them focus like never before. The Ghost Wind moved closer to the convoy, using the shadow of a nearby asteroid to hide its approach. Even if the Council ships had been looking for enemies, they would not have seen the human destroyer until it was too late. Fire all weapons, Ji-hoon ordered. The plasma cannons that Dr. Yoon had designed cut through the Council ships like hot knives through butter. The transport ships exploded in balls of fire, and their cargo of weapons scattered into space. The Council escort ships tried to fight back, but they could not hit what they could not see. In less than 5 minutes, the entire convoy was destroyed. The Ghost Wind had not taken a single hit. The Council crews who survived in escape pods would tell their commanders about ships that appeared from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. This was happening all across Council space. Human wolf packs were striking supply lines, communication stations, and isolated outposts. The Council had never fought enemies like this before. They were used to big formal battles between huge fleets. Not this kind of guerrilla warfare. Admiral Zorak commanded the Council forces in the outer systems. He had been fighting space battles for 300 years and had never lost a major engagement. But now he was facing something completely new, and he did not understand it. "How are these primitive humans destroying our ships?" he demanded of his tactical officer. "We have superior numbers, superior firepower, superior experience. What are we doing wrong?" His officer looked at the battle reports with confusion. "Admiral, they are not fighting like any species we have faced before. They use small groups of ships that work together in ways our computers cannot predict. They hit us and then disappear before we can respond." Zorak studied the tactical displays. The humans had destroyed 50 Council ships in the past week, while losing only 3 of their own. It was impossible. Yet it was happening. The reports from his commanders all told the same story. Human ships that seemed to appear from nowhere, using weapons that cut through Council defenses like they were not there. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years by being stronger than everyone else. Their ships were bigger, their weapons more powerful, their fleets larger. But the humans were not trying to match Council strength. They were using Council weaknesses against them. Commander Lim Hana led a squadron of human bombers toward a Council weapons factory on the planet Orcs. The factory had been making the plasma bombs that destroyed Valoran Prime. Now it was going to pay for those crimes. The Council had put defense satellites around the planet, but human intelligence had found the gaps in their coverage. Hana led her bombers through an asteroid field that the Council thought was too dangerous for ships to navigate. Human pilots were different from Council pilots, though. They had grown up on a world where flying was an art, where pilots pushed their machines to the limit just for fun. The dangerous flight through the asteroids was just another challenge to overcome. Approaching target. Hana announced to her squadron. "Remember, we are not just destroying a factory. We are making sure they cannot build more weapons to kill more innocents." The bombers dropped out of the asteroid field and dove toward the planet. The Council defense ships scrambled to intercept them, but the humans were already past their patrol lines. The factory was surrounded by shield, generators, and weapon turrets, but human intelligence had found the weak points. The bombs that fell from Hana's squadron were not just explosives, they were smart weapons that could think for themselves. Each bomb found the most important target and destroyed it with precision. The factory that had taken years to build was reduced to rubble in minutes as the human bombers escaped into space. Hana could see the smoke rising from the destroyed facility. That was for the children who died on Valoran. Prime, she whispered to herself. News of the human attack spread quickly through Council space. For the first time in centuries, Council citizens were afraid their government had always protected them from outside threats, but now those threats were getting through on the Council capital world. Supreme Chancellor Vortex met with his military advisors in emergency session. The reports from the front lines were getting worse every day. Human ships were striking targets throughout Council territory, and there seemed to be nothing that could stop them. "These humans fight like barbarians," Vortex declared. "They do not follow the proper rules of warfare. They strike civilian targets. They use stealth and deception. They refuse to meet us in honorable." Battle General Thak shook his massive head. "Chancellor, with respect, the humans are following their own rules of war. They learned that we destroyed their civilian colony. So now they target our military infrastructure. They are not barbarians. They are just different from us." But Vortex did not want to hear that. The Council had maintained power by convincing themselves that they were superior to all other species. The idea that humans might actually be better at warfare was too threatening for him to accept. Meanwhile, in space, Captain Kim Tae-ho was leading a task force of 20 human ships toward a Council naval base. The base was supposed to be heavily defended, but human scouts had found that most of the Council fleet was scattered across the galaxy chasing human raiders. "This is our chance to hit them where it hurts." Tae-ho told his captains, "The base has repair facilities, fuel depots, and ammunition stores. If we destroy it, the Council fleet in this sector will have nowhere to resupply." The human ships approached the base using a new formation that Captain Seo Hye-won had developed. Her ship, Valoran's Revenge, led the attack while the other ships spread out in a pattern that confused the Council targeting computers. The base defenses opened fire, but the human ships moved in ways the Council had never seen before. They twisted and rolled through space like dancers, avoiding the heavy Council weapons, while their own guns found their targets with deadly accuracy within. An hour the naval base was burning. The fuel depots had exploded, taking half the station with them. The repair yards were twisted metal, and the ammunition stores were empty craters. The Council fleet would have to retreat hundreds of light years to find another base. But the most important victory was not military news of the human successes, was spreading to every species in the galaxy. For the first time in 1,000 years, the mighty Galactic Council was losing a war species that had been oppressed for generations, began to whisper among themselves. Maybe the Council could be beaten. Maybe there was hope for freedom. Maybe these strange humans from the small blue world really were different from all the other species that had tried and failed to challenge Council power on distant worlds. Alien children heard stories of human ships that appeared like ghosts to strike at their oppressors. Alien workers in Council factories began to sabotage the weapons meant to kill humans. Alien merchants started refusing to carry supplies for the Council war effort. The hunt had begun, and it was not just human ships hunting Council forces. The spirit of rebellion was hunting through the galaxy itself, finding hearts that had been waiting for hope. The Council had thought they were fighting a simple war against one species. They were about to discover they were fighting something much more dangerous than that. They were fighting an idea. The idea that different species could work together as equals. The idea that oppression did not have to be accepted forever. The idea that sometimes the smallest species could teach the largest ones what real strength looked like. Captain Oh Ye-jin stood in the docking bay of her flagship, watching as the strangest ship she had ever seen connected to her vessel. The ship was long and curved like a sea creature from Earth, and its hull was covered in the blue crystal patterns. That meant it was built by Valorans. She had thought all the Valorans were dead. The massacre at Valoran Prime was supposed to have killed every member of the species, but somehow some had survived, and now they were here asking to join the human fleet. The airlock opened, and a tall figure stepped through. Oh recognized him immediately, even though she had never met him in person. Commander Kale was famous among the Valorans as their greatest military leader. He had been away from Valoran Prime when the Council attacked, leading a deep space exploration mission. His blue skin was paler than usual, and his 4 eyes showed the deep sadness that came from losing everything. But there was something else in those eyes, too. Something that burned. Like fire, Captain. Oh, he said in careful English. Your species showed my people friendship when no one else in the galaxy would. Now my people are gone, but a few of us remain. We ask permission to fight beside you until the end. Oh felt her throat tighten with emotion. She had visited Valoran Prime many times and had many friends there. The thought that some had survived filled her with hope, even as it broke her heart. You do not need permission. Commander Kale, she replied. Any Valoran who wants to fight the Council is welcome in our fleet. We are honored to have you with us. Kale nodded slowly, and then did something that surprised her. He reached into his uniform and pulled out a small crystal flower. It was the symbol that Valoran children gave to their parents to show love and respect. This is from the last Valoran child evacuated from our colonies, he said as he handed her the flower. She wanted me to give it to the humans who came to help us. She said to tell you that even though she will never see her home again, she knows humans will make sure other children do not lose theirs. Oh took the crystal flower and felt tears in her eyes. The flower was warm to the touch and seemed to glow with its own inner light. It was beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. Within days, more alien ships began arriving at the human fleet. Admiral Park Ji-woo found himself in command of something he had never expected. A truly galactic alliance united not by fear or conquest, but by shared ideals of freedom and justice. The Catherian merchant clans sent their fastest courier ships. The Catherians had always been neutral in galactic politics, but the massacre at Valoran Prime had shocked them. Their leader, Captain Zira, explained why. They were joining the fight. The Council taxes our trade routes and restricts our travel, she told Admiral Park. But we accepted this because we thought it was the price of peace. Now we see that the Council does not want peace. They want control, and control without justice is just tyranny with better publicity. The Catherians brought something precious to the Alliance: information. Their merchant ships traveled everywhere in the galaxy, and they knew the location of every Council base, every supply route. every weakness in the Council's defenses, but the most surprising allies came from the warrior culture of the Nexari. These proud people had served as mercenaries for the Council for centuries, fighting their wars and enforcing their will across the galaxy. Everyone expected them to side with their employers. Instead, their war chief General Vask arrived with 50 of their most powerful battleships. His message was simple and direct. The Council hired us to fight their enemies, but they never told us that sometimes their enemies are children. The massacre at Valoran Prime was not war. It was butchery, and no true warrior serves butchers. The Nexari ships were different from human vessels. They were painted in bright colors and covered in symbols that told the story of every battle they had fought. Their crews sang war songs as they flew into combat, and their weapons were designed for close fighting rather than long-range bombardment. Dr. Song Min Kyung found herself with the most complex job in the fleet. She had to figure out how to coordinate the different technologies and fighting styles of all their new allies. Human ships used precision and stealth. Valoran ships relied on energy shields and advanced sensors. Catherian vessels were fast but lightly armed. Nexari battleships were tough but slow. The challenge seemed impossible at first. Each species had developed their own way of fighting, their own communication systems, their own tactical doctrines. How could such different forces work together effectively? But then Song remembered something about humans that made them special among galactic species. Humans were adaptable. They learned from everyone they met and found ways to combine different ideas into something new and better. She organized mixed squadrons where human ships fought alongside alien vessels. Each group had different strengths and covered each other's weaknesses. Human stealth ships would scout ahead, while Nexari battleships provided heavy firepower. Valoran precision targeting guided Catherian fast attack runs. Captain Ko Hyun-woo commanded one of these mixed squadrons. His flagship was surrounded by ships from 4 different species, each painted in their own colors and flying their own banners. It looked like chaos, but when they went into battle, they moved like one organism. The Council intercepted one of their communication transmissions and could not believe what they heard. Human pilots speaking, broken Nexari mixed with Catherian tactical terms and Valoran mathematical concepts. It was a new language being born in real time as different species learned to fight together. The first major test came when the Alliance fleet encountered a Council patrol force near the Rigel system. The Council commander expected an easy victory. His 50 ships outnumbered the Alliance force and his crews were experienced veterans. What he found instead was something no Council officer had ever faced, a coordinated attack by multiple species working in perfect harmony. Hyun-woo's human destroyers appeared from stealth to disable the Council ship sensors. Catherian couriers darted between the enemy vessels, jamming their communications. Valoran energy weapons struck with mathematical precision, while Nexari battleships hammered the Council line with overwhelming firepower. The battle was over in 30 minutes. The Council force was either destroyed or scattered. The Alliance had lost only 2 ships while achieving a complete victory. It was the kind of coordination that should have taken years to develop, but somehow these different species had learned to work together in just weeks. News of the victory spread quickly through both Council space and the independent systems. For the first time anyone could remember, a major Council fleet had been defeated in open battle. The impossible was happening on Earth. President Yang Ho-jin received reports of new species asking to join the Alliance. The crystalline builders, who had been forced to construct council fortifications for centuries, the void swimmers whose deep space habitats had been taxed into poverty, the garden tenders whose agricultural worlds fed council populations, while their own people went hungry. Each species brought their own reasons for hating the council. Each had their own skills to contribute to the growing rebellion. The council had kept the galaxy divided for so long that they had forgotten how powerful unity could be. Admiral Park found himself commanding not just ships, but hope itself. Every species that joined the alliance brought stories of council oppression. Every new ally meant that the dream of a free galaxy was becoming more real. The Valorans shared their advanced shield technology. Humans adapted it and made it better. The Catherians provided intelligence networks. Humans used them to coordinate attacks across multiple systems. The Nexari taught brutal close combat tactics. Humans combined them with their own precision to create unstoppable assault techniques. But most importantly, each species learned from the others not just about technology or tactics, but about what it meant to fight for something bigger than yourself. The humans had started this war to avenge their murdered friends. Now it was becoming something greater. A war for the idea that different species could live together as equals. A war for the belief that diversity made civilizations stronger, not weaker. A war for the hope that the galaxy could be ruled by cooperation instead of fear. Commander Kyle stood on the bridge of his Valoran ship, watching human and alien vessels flying in formation around him. His people were gone, but their dream of friendship between species was more alive than ever. "This is what they died for," he told his crew. "This unity between different peoples, this hope for a better future. The council thought they could kill our dream by killing our bodies. But dreams do not die when the dreamers do. They live on in everyone who chooses to believe." The Alliance fleet moved through space like a living symbol of that dream. Ships from 6 different species flying together under the same cause. Each vessel carried the hopes of billions of beings who had waited centuries. For someone to stand up to the Council's tyranny, the hunt was becoming something more than revenge. It was becoming a revolution. President Yang Ho-jin sat in the big meeting room deep under the capital city of Seoul. The room was full of military leaders and scientists, all looking very serious and very angry. The holographic display in the center showed the burning remains of Valoran Prime, and everyone stared at it with hard faces. General Kang Hae-jin slammed her fist on the metal table so hard that her coffee cup jumped. The sound echoed through the quiet room like a gunshot. She was the head of Earth Defense Forces and had never lost her temper like this before. "They think we are just another weak species," she said through gritted teeth. "They have ruled this galaxy for so long. They forgot what it means to fight a real war. They have never faced humans when we are truly angry." The other military leaders nodded their heads. Admiral Lim Sang-woo pulled up new displays that showed Earth's hidden military bases. Most people in the galaxy thought Earth only had a few dozen warships for exploring space. They had no idea what humans had really been building. For 20 years, we have been preparing for this day, Admiral Lim said as he pointed to the secret shipyards hidden in asteroid belts around Earth. "We knew the Galactic Council would try to stop us eventually, so we built ships they never knew about. We developed weapons they have never seen." Dr. Yoon-A-Ra stood up from her chair. She was small and quiet, But everyone respected her because she was the smartest scientist on Earth. She ran the secret weapons, projects that had been developing new technologies for years. Project Stormbringer is ready, she announced. Our new plasma cannons can cut through Council shields like they are made of paper. Our stealth destroyers are completely invisible to their sensors. And our AI targeting systems can hit moving targets from 1,000,000 kilometers away. President Yang walked to the big window that looked out over the city. Seoul looked peaceful with people going about their normal lives, but soon everything would change. The galaxy was about to see what humans could do when their friends were murdered. The Council has made their biggest mistake, Yang said in a voice that was calm but full of steel. They think they can kill our allies, and we will surrender out of fear. They do not understand humans at all. When someone hurts our family, we do not give up. We fight back twice as hard. General Kang activated the communication system that connected to every military base on Earth and in space. Within minutes, commanders from around the solar system were appearing on screens around the room. All of them had the same expression of cold fury. We are mobilizing everything, Kang announced. This is not just about revenge. This is about showing every species in the galaxy that the Council can be beaten, that tyranny does not have to win, that there is another way to live. The hidden shipyards around Earth came alive with activity. Ships that had been built in secret for years were finally being prepared. For war, the Council thought they knew about Earth's military strength, but they were about to get a terrible surprise. Captain Seo Haiwan walked through the docking bay of the massive new battleship Valoran's Revenge. The ship was twice as big as anything the Council had ever seen, and it was just one of 50 like it. The shipyard workers were loading weapons and supplies as fast as they could. This ship carries the name of our murdered friends, Haiwan told her crew as they gathered in the main hangar. Every weapon on this ship, every system, every piece of armor is dedicated to making sure the Council pays for what they did. The crew cheered, and their voices echoed through the huge space. Most of them had friends or family who had lived on Valoran Prime. Now, those people were gone, and it was time to make the Council understand what that meant. Dr. Park Min-soo was working frantically in his laboratory. He was updating the weapon systems with everything humans had learned from their alien friends. Valoran energy shields, Catherian stealth technology, Nexari plasma weapons. Humanity had taken the best ideas from every species they had met and made them better. The Council thinks they are fighting primitive humans, he muttered as he programmed new targeting computers. They have no idea we have been learning from everyone we met for 30 years. Our ships use technology from a dozen different species. In the Military Command Center, Admiral Lim was coordinating the largest fleet Earth had ever assembled. 200 warships were preparing to leave the solar system. Each one was more advanced than anything the Council expected humans to have. Commander Lee Jae-sung was checking the crew assignments for the stealth destroyer, Silent Storm. His ship could sneak past any Council sensors and strike without warning. The Council was used to big, slow battles between massive fleets. They had never fought enemies who could appear and disappear like ghosts. We are not going to fight the way they expect, Lee told his officers. We will hit them where they are weak when they are not ready. We will make them afraid to leave their home systems. The president met with the alien ambassadors who lived on Earth. There were not many aliens who had chosen to make Earth their home, but the ones who did were completely loyal to humanity. They had seen how humans treated other species with respect and equality, Ambassador Keth was a Valoran who had escaped the massacre, because he was on Earth when it happened. His blue skin had turned pale with grief, but his 4 eyes burned with the need for justice. "My people trusted humans," he said in his careful English, "and humans never let us down. When the council came to destroy us, you could have run away and saved yourselves. Instead, you choose to fight for us. This is why we believed in your species president." Yang nodded slowly. "The council thinks they can divide us by killing our friends, but they have done the opposite. They have shown every species in the galaxy what happens when you trust the council, and they have shown what happens when you trust humans. The news broadcasts from around the galaxy were already spreading word of the attack. Some species were celebrating, thinking the dangerous humans had finally been put in their place. But others were horrified. The council had crossed a line that even their supporters found hard to accept. General Kang was reviewing intelligence reports from Council space. Most of their fleet was spread out across the galaxy, keeping different species under control. They had not expected any real fight from Earth, so most of their ships were not prepared for war. "They are overconfident," she told the president. "They think this war is already over. They think we will send a few ships, make some noise, and then give up when we see how powerful they are. They have no idea what is coming." In the shipyards, the final preparations were being made, weapons were loaded. Food and medical supplies were stored, and the crews were saying goodbye to their families. Many of them knew they might not come home, but none of them hesitated. Earth was going to war, and every human wanted to be part of it. Captain Kim Tae-ho received new orders from Earth Command. His battleship Iron Thunder would be part of the advance fleet that would strike the first blow against Council forces. The orders were simple: hit hard, hit fast, and show the galaxy that humanity was not afraid as he. Read the orders. Tae-ho thought about his Valoran friends who had died in the massacre. They had trusted humans to protect them, and humans had failed. But now it was time to make sure that failure meant something. It was time to make the council pay. The fleet began moving out of Earth, orbit one ship at a time. They did not leave together because that would attract too much attention. Instead, they scattered in different directions, using routes that would bring them together deep in space. Dr. Yoon watched the ships leave from her laboratory window. Each one carried weapons she had designed. Each one represented years of secret work preparing for this moment. The council thought they were fighting the same humans who had arrived in the galaxy 30 years ago with primitive ships and simple weapons. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Humans learned fast, they adapted quickly, and they never forgot their friends. The massacre at Valoran Prime was supposed to end the human threat to council power. Instead, it was about to begin the war that would change the galaxy forever. The last ship disappeared into the darkness of space, carrying with it the hopes and anger of an entire species. The council had wanted to make humans afraid. Now they were going to learn what human fear looked like when it turned into human fury. Captain Kim Tae-ho was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency alarm started screaming through his ship. The sound made his heart jump and his hands shake as he put down his cup. The red lights flashed on and off, making everything look like a bad dream. He ran to the bridge of his battleship Iron Thunder. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor as he moved fast through the narrow hallways. Other crew members were running too, their faces full of worry and fear. Everyone knew that. Emergency alarms meant something very bad was happening. When he reached the bridge, his second officer, Lieutenant Park So-jin, was already there. She was staring at the big screen with her mouth open. Her face was white, like she had seen a ghost. The screen showed a message from far away, and the words made Tae-ho feel sick. The message was from Valoran Prime, the beautiful blue planet that had been home to both humans and aliens for 30 years. It was the first world where humans had made real friends with another species. The Valorans were peaceful people who looked like tall humans but had blue skin and 4 eyes instead of 2. But now something terrible had happened to their peaceful world. Admiral Park Ji-woo came running onto the bridge. His uniform was not neat like usual, and his hair was messy. He had been sleeping when the alarm started, but now he was wide awake and very angry. Tae-ho Admiral Ji-woo said in a voice that shook with rage. The Galactic Council did it. They attacked Valoran Prime with their whole fleet. They killed everyone, every human colonist, every Valoran family. They are all dead. The words hit Tae-ho like a punch in the stomach. He could not believe what he was hearing. The Galactic Council was supposed to keep peace in the galaxy. They were the government that ruled over hundreds of planets and alien species. But now they had done something horrible. Tell me everything, Tae-ho said as he sat down in his captain chair. His hands were shaking and he felt like he might be sick. Ji-woo touched some buttons and the big screen changed. Now it showed pictures from Valoran Prime, but they were not the beautiful pictures Tae-ho remembered. The cities were gone. Smoke was rising from huge holes in the ground where millions of people used to live and work and play. The Galactic Council sent 200 warships, Ji-woo explained. They said humans were a danger to galactic order. They said we were teaching other species bad ideas about freedom and equality. So they decided to make an example of Valoran Prime. The screen showed more terrible pictures. Tae-ho could see the council ships hanging in space above the burning planet. They were huge and dark like metal monsters. Their crews were probably celebrating what they had done. They thought they had won a great victory. Dr. Lee Soo-jin came onto the bridge. She was the ship's scientist who studied alien life. She had been to Valoran Prime many times and had many friends there, both human and alien. Now she was crying, and her hands were shaking as she held her computer. "Tablet, I ran the bioscans," she said in a voice that was almost too quiet to hear. "The life signs are gone, Captain. All of them, 8 million Valorans and 12,000 human colonists. The orbital bombardment killed everything that was alive down there." Tae-ho felt anger building in his chest like a fire. The Valorans had been such good friends to humanity. When humans first came to their world 30 years ago, the Valorans could have been afraid or unfriendly. Instead, they welcomed the strange visitors from Earth. They shared their knowledge, their culture, their homes. The two species had learned so much from each other. Human engineers worked with Valoran scientists to build amazing new technologies. Valoran artists taught humans how to make beautiful music that sounded like wind through crystal caves. Human doctors and Valoran healers saved lives together. Children grew up together. Human kids and Valoran kids, playing the same games, learning the same lessons, becoming friends across the stars. It was everything that was good about different species working together. But the Galactic Council hated it. For 1,000 years, the Council had ruled the galaxy by keeping different species apart. They told everyone that aliens were dangerous, that mixing different cultures was wrong. They wanted every species to stay on their own planets and follow Council rules. When humans arrived, they did something different. Instead of being afraid of aliens, they made friends with them. They treated other species as equals, not as strangers to fear. This scared the Council because it showed other species that the Council's way was not the only way. Commander Cho Min-ho activated the communication system that could talk to all the human ships hiding in the asteroid belt. There were 57 Earth warships out there, all waiting for orders, all wanting to know what had happened to their friends. "This is Commander Cho Min-ho speaking to all ships," he said into the microphone. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear the anger underneath. "We have received confirmation of the attack on Valoran Prime. The Galactic Council has committed genocide against our allies and our colonists." Tae-ho watched the small screen that showed messages coming back from the other ships. Every captain, every crew member was asking the same questions. How could this happen? What were they going to do about it? Were they going to let the Council get away with murdering their friends? "The Council thinks they can scare us into giving up," Min-ho continued. "They think if they kill enough of our friends, we will run back to Earth and never leave our solar system again. They think we are weak like the other species. They have bullied for so long. They are wrong on the main screen." Tae-ho could see the Council ships leaving Valoran Prime. They had finished their terrible work and now they were going home. Their crews probably thought they had solved the human problem forever. They had shown the galaxy what happened to species that became friends with humans. But they did not understand humans at all. When humans made friends, they did not abandon them when things got dangerous. When someone hurt a human friend, humans did not run away. They fought back, and they fought harder than anyone expected. "Look at this," Admiral Ji-woo said as he brought up new pictures on the screen. "These are from the Council news broadcasts. They are calling it a necessary police action. They say they had to remove a dangerous influence that was corrupting galactic society. The Council news showed their leaders making speeches. They talked about maintaining order and protecting galactic civilization. They made it sound like they were heroes who had saved everyone from a terrible threat. They never mentioned the children who died or the families that were torn apart." Dr. Soo-jin wiped tears from her eyes as she looked at her tablet. "I had so many friends down there." She said Captain Lee Hae-won from the agricultural station was going to get married next month. She sent me pictures of her dress. The Valoran family that ran the Crystal Gardens adopted 2 human orphans last year. Now they are all gone. I-ho stood up from his chair and walked to the big window that looked out into space. He could see the other human ships in the distance, small lights against the darkness. Each one carried people who were just as angry and sad as he was. "The Council made a big mistake today," he said to his crew. "They thought they could make us afraid by hurting our friends, but they do not understand what it means to be human. When someone hurts our family, we do not become afraid. We become dangerous." Bridge was quiet except for the soft sounds of the ship's computers. Everyone was thinking about Valoran Prime, about their friends who were gone, about what they were going to do next. Commander Min-ho looked at the tactical display that showed all the human ships. "We have been preparing for this day," he said. "Even though we hoped it would never come. We knew the Council would try to stop us someday. Now they have. And now they will learn what happens when you make humans angry." The emergency message from Earth Command started coming through on the priority channel. Tae-ho knew it would be orders to return home for new instructions, but he also knew those orders would not be about running away or hiding. Earth had been building warships in secret, for years preparing for the day when humanity would need to defend itself against the great powers of the galaxy. The Council knew about some of Earth's military, but they had no idea how strong humans had really become. Today the Council learned. that humans make friends easily, Taeho said, as he looked out at the stars. Tomorrow they will learn that humans protect their friends no matter what the cost. The decisive confrontation came at Nexus Prime, the Council's greatest fortress world. Massive orbital platforms bristling with weapons protected the planet where the Council's leadership had ruled for centuries. No enemy had ever successfully attacked this stronghold. General Kang Hyejin studied the defenses from the bridge of Earth's newest supercarrier, Terra's Wrath. They've concentrated their entire remaining fleet here. 3,000 ships, including their ancient dreadnoughts, that have never been defeated. But Admiral Lim Sang-woo smiled grimly as he looked at their own forces. They're fighting the last war, Hyejin. They still think in terms of massive, slow battles between giant ships. They don't understand how warfare has evolved. The human-led Alliance fleet numbered only 800 ships, but they had something the Council lacked: experience working together and adapting to impossible odds. When the battle began, the Council's massive dreadnoughts fired their traditional energy beams, expecting the smaller ships to break and run. Instead, they found themselves facing coordinated swarm attacks from multiple directions. Human carriers launched clouds of fighter craft that moved like schools of fish, impossible to target effectively. Nexari battleships used their incredible speed to strike at weak points, while Catherian ships provided covering fire from unexpected angles. Captain Kim Tae-ho led the final assault on the Council's command station. His ship Iron Thunder had been upgraded with technology from all Alliance species, making it faster than Catherian scouts and tougher than Nexari dreadnoughts. As he broke through the station's defenses, he thought of the burning cities on Valoran Prime. The battle raged for 18 hours, but when it ended, the Council's mighty fleet was scattered wreckage floating in space. For the first time in Galactic history, the supposedly invincible Council had been utterly defeated by species they considered inferior. Ambassador Lee So-young stood at the podium in the Great Assembly Hall on the planet New Harmony, looking out at the most amazing sight in galactic history. Representatives from over 200 species filled the massive chamber, all sitting together, as equals for the first time anyone could remember. The hall itself was a symbol of what the galaxy could become. Human architects had worked with Valoran crystal shapers and Nexari stone carvers to create something beautiful that honored all their cultures. The walls showed scenes from dozens of worlds, and the ceiling was made of living crystal that changed colors with the emotions of the crowd. 6 months ago, this would have been impossible, Lee said as she began her speech. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council ruled through fear and division. They kept us apart because they knew that together we were stronger than they could ever be. The representatives listened carefully. Their translators worked overtime as her words were converted into hundreds of different languages. But the message was clear in every tongue. The old ways were gone. A new galaxy was being born. Today, we do not just celebrate victory in war, Lee continued. We celebrate the birth of something that has never existed before, a truly galactic civilization based on cooperation instead of conquest, based on friendship instead of fear, based on the idea that different species working together can achieve more than any one species alone. In the front row sat the former Supreme Chancellor Vortex. He had been given a choice after his defeat: join the new alliance as an equal or return to his home world and stay out of galactic affairs. He had chosen to stay and learn. The proud leader who had once ruled the galaxy now listened quietly as a human woman half his age explained how the future would work. The Galactic Alliance Constitution had been written by representatives from every member species. It guaranteed rights that had never existed before. Freedom of travel between worlds. Freedom to trade with anyone. Freedom to choose your own government. Freedom to live wherever you wanted, regardless of what species you were born, as Captain Park. Jae-min walked through the shipyards orbiting New Harmony, watching as the greatest construction project in galactic history took shape. The new exploration fleet would carry crews from dozens of species into the unknown regions beyond the galactic rim. These ships were different from the warships that had defeated the Council. They were built for discovery, not destruction. Their crews would be scientists and diplomats, not soldiers. Their mission was to find new species and invite them to.